My guest today is Davy Wittock. Davy leads the business development team at Flux. Flux, of course, is a Web3 cloud infrastructure company. Yeah, decentralized. We'll learn all about this today. Welcome to the show, Davy.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure, Davy. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be cool if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear, a little of your personal and professional backstory. What have you been doing in the lead up to getting involved with Flux?
Absolutely. So I'm Davy Wittock, Canadian. Happy Canada Day for folks who are watching. I've been in the IT space for over 20 years now. A big focus of mine was on the medical IT for the last 20 years. I worked for large companies in that space, but it was when doctors were approaching me a couple of years ago with questions. Hey, we went to this really cool trade show or conference and we brought all these Python scripts. Now we want to run AI, and I started to think about, okay, how do we do this and how do we roll that out? And then unfortunately started seeing the prices of the GPUs and all the compute that requires this stuff. And that got me thinking, and then got me back into the blockchain world, where I had started back in 2018 my own mining pool and such. And I got involved with Flux, or back in the day Zell. And I was actually the one who created their first community pool where folks could mine with the community together. Got sidetracked with medical IT again for a few years, and then came back as Dan invited me back, and we started talking about AI and how we saw that in the next few years rollouts.
Awesome. Thank you, Davey. Yeah, let's start to learn a little bit about Flux then. So give us the high level vision of what Flux is.
Yeah, so Flux, basically the gist of it is that we created a decentralized cloud solution on top of a blockchain that makes it a lot less expensive than your traditional hosting platforms. And it's run by folks like you and I. So we're trying to democratize cloud infrastructure. We're trying to make it affordable for everybody to use without hidden fees, hidden costs, all up front. You know exactly what you're paying, and you know exactly how long it's going to run. And that's the gist of it. Makes hosting affordable.
So how are you going about ensuring you have, enough people on the network, making sure that it is sufficiently decentralized, scalable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you hear a lot of people say, "Hey, we're decentralized now," and then you go look, and then you see in the back end it's one hosting or two hosting platforms. For us, it's literally you and I, in different ways that we participate. We'll have folks participate with Raspberry Pis. We'll have folks participating with an older laptop. We'll have folks participating with a few computers, a few smaller V-Link computers, all the way up to folks providing it via VPSs at data centers. So there's a lot of options that people have to participate in this. And the way we operate with this is it's all tied to the blockchain. And so basically you stake a certain amount of Flux on the network that comes with the compute power that you deliver. And at that point, it's a round robin system. So you get paid out after everybody else is paid out as well. Then it's your turn. And then you go back to the queue for your next payment. And that's basically how it's been running now for a few years. And we're up to 13,000 nodes worldwide. So it's not just a concentration in this particular niche of the world. No, we're spread across the world. We still have some gaps here and there, but hopefully that will settle itself out.
Yeah, well, just talk us through that process then. If someone wanted to set up a Flux node, how easy or how challenging is it? And, what are you guys doing to support those people? And especially,
Absolutely.
Once they've got nodes set up, just walk us through that process.
Yeah, so we've come a long way. So I don't know if folks were there at the beginning of master nodes in 2017, 2018. Those were challenging. So was the Flux nodes. It was challenging. At this point, I won't say it is for everybody. There's some gotchas that you need to learn. You need to be comfortable with your own network, how to set those things up. So far, thanks to the community, because we are a community project, a lot of innovation came from the community tips and requests. So at this point, it's an install process that takes you through the process one by one, and then you basically are set up in a matter of 20, 30 minutes, depending on your internet speed. But it's quite easy. There's guides, there's videos, there's the community itself, there's a Discord and a Telegram that you can join, so whatever you prefer, and then there's people there that will help you in a matter of no time. One caveat, if you do ask a question in the Discord and somebody DMs you, that is not somebody of us. We will never DM you. I know I shouldn't be saying this in 2024, but still, unfortunately, we do see people fall for it. So, yeah, it's actually quite easy at this point. And if that is still tricky, there is solutions out there. There's our partner Seed, they offer a little box that you can just deploy, and then just a few things you have to fill in as it boots up. And then there's also people who actually build businesses on top of Flux at this point that do kind of like a managed service almost. So you basically have to provide your details, and they spin up the node for you. You can actually comfortably share those details. You never share your private key of the wallet itself, but the node key, that's all in the instructions. You can easily share. There's no issue with that. And at that point, you're participating in. You're at the back of the queue, ready to be paid.
Fantastic. And just for people who are listening and maybe they're technical, or even just slightly technical, or even, just think, yeah, that's a challenge. I can set up a Flux node, no problem at all. Just quickly run through why they should. What are the incentives? I guess besides helping build out the decentralized cloud provider network. What are the incentives? What's in it for them?
Basically, if you already have Flux, it's an easy way to make more Flux, right? So we don't really put any dollar values or euro values or New Zealand dollars against it. We show Flux. You make X amount of Flux. So you get Flux from the native chain, and then you get a small and the same amount of Flux in parallel chains. We'll go into that as well, because I'm sure that will trigger some questions. But basically, it's all Flux that you gain, and there's a lot of tools out there on the websites of Flux itself or the community. There's some people with some really cool websites where you can see exactly how much earnings you're roughly making in Flux. They will put a dollar value on there. That is not a guarantee. The market is what the market is. But that's basically the best way to make more Flux. If you can't do mining, and so there's three ways of getting Flux. You can do mining, you can purchase, and of course you can run the nodes. But if you do run the nodes, it's an easy, cheap way, electricity-wise, to make more Flux, because a node doesn't really take up much power versus mining. And you help the network, and you help somebody host their website or game servers. So why wait?
Why wait, indeed. All right. Thank you, Davy. We've done nodes. Look, you're, I said at the beginning of the show that I guess your title, if you like, is Head of Business Development, or you lead the business development team, BizDev, and the kind of, corporate Web2 way of saying it. And it's kind of funny as we go into, Web3. It's kind of strange we're at that kind of transition stage where it's still okay to have, someone who's head of biz dev and what is still in theory, a decentralized Web3 company. So just, explain that kind of how that works, and then kind of, I'd love to hear a little bit about just what you do in terms of that role as biz dev, and what your kind of day-to-day role is, Davey.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. A lot of people don't see me in action, of course, only in the MAs or the odd time on a stream like this. So this is not my business attire. For full transparency, I'm finally in my office once again. I have been traveling nonstop for the last months. So a biz dev, what does he do? He is the one who goes up to people and say, "Hey, I'm from Flux. What you guys do, this is what we do, where can we work together?" That's it in a nutshell. It takes a little bit of cojones to do that, especially in the Web2 space, because my last conference, I was in a complete medical space. Like there was nothing Web3 there. There was nobody Web3. Period. This was a room full of doctors, full of web providers, software providers, focusing on pure medical radiology. Walking into a space like that with a Web3 offering is not a given. You get questions, a lot of questions, but the beauty of it is that I come out of the Web2 space, so I know what these people are looking for. I know what kind of security pieces they're looking for. I know what kind of redundancy they're looking for, and actually we're very much aware of how the Web2 world operates and how the Web3 world wants to operate, and the two don't really jive proper. So we came with a solution for that. So we actually have it now. Before that solution, I had to teach people how to run crypto wallets. I had to teach people how to go to an exchange. I had to teach them what a coin was, what a blockchain was. All of those things, I had to teach all of that before I could even offer what we were actually doing in that space. So what we did is we actually took a step back and we said, okay, instead of teaching these people how to do all of this and then lose them after step 2, 3, or 4, if not step 1, we make it so that you can roll into Flux and use Flux as is with, I hate to say it, but fiat payments and an easy login system. And you can use your Google account or your I was going to say Hotnet. Who still uses Hot? Or your Apple ID. All of those things that people are very accustomed to in a Web2 space, things that an IT person in his company can say, hey, I've made an account there, I have a budget there, I need the credit card to purchase hosting. Nobody will look twice at them. If they would have come and said, hey, I opened myself a wallet, and I use a credit card company to go in an exchange and procure myself some Flux so that I could procure the services that these guys provide, he would have been shut down. Period. How is the financial person going to be able to manage that? How is the IT director going to manage that, let alone the C-suite? How are they going to budget these things out? There's not an option there. So you have to, sometimes we all want to go to the end goal straight away, and we forget, and we pass a lot of people at that point. If we want adoption, and that's a keyword that you don't hear that often at this point, because we all feel like we're there already. We're not even close, not even remotely close. But if we don't take that step back and we guide them into that process, we lose. We are now winning, quite literally, because now people are, like I said, I had people try it right there on the trade show, and they're like, only $2 to run a tiny website? I'm like, yeah, it's that simple. So we see that adoption now slowly but surely gaining traction. And the funny part is, once they start learning about Flux, now they go through those steps that I said at the beginning. Now they are looking into a wallet and themselves. And often enough, you see those IT folks or C-suite folks even. I talked to the vice president who owns Flux now. You start seeing them now starting to go into the motion of learning what blockchain really is and how we can do these things so inexpensive. That's the key part.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and that's what I do.
And while you have your biz dev hat on, Davy, and you know, literally you have your hat on as we speak, so that's good. With that metaphorical hat on, you know, I guess it's a lot of people, right? But talk through the different kind of companies or sectors or potential clients, however you like to approach it. Just give us a sense of, you know, the kind of entities that could really make use of Flux services.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it at this point. The answer is yes. The answer is actually yes at this point. I can't even say he or she should not be using it. With the new offering, you know, so we have the Flux Cloud piece, and now we also have the Flux Edge piece, which is more focused towards GPU compute. We're literally and that's part of the business dev side of things, is I also make sure we have partners that can help us build out these type of softwares and make connections in certain spaces. So our Flux Cloud solution was all built with Ubuntu and Docker and our own way of distributing containers. With our Flux Edge solution, again, we took a step back and said, hey, what is the space? What are people in research using? What are people in finance using? What are people in the medical field using when they are building out large clusters? So you automatically come with Kubernetes in it. So we took a step back, went through a different variety of Kubernetes softwares. And as I was going through the motion of picking all these softwares, I basically said, okay, we want to pick one that has full compliance. We want to be HIPAA compliant. We want to have GDPR compliance. We want to be able to get SOC 2. We want to be able to get ISO. All of these things need to be set up properly. And then I go out and find the partners that we can utilize for that. Folks like SUSE or SUSE, depending where you are in the world. If you know them from the Linux with the little green chameleon, that's a partner of ours. What do they bring to the table? They bring RK2, which is a hardened Kubernetes version, which is what we're now using to roll out our Flux Edge solution. And then the moment we have all of these type of things, now we can combine our Flux Cloud offering with the Flux Edge solution. So you can have pennies on the dollar hosting your front-end websites. And then on the Flux Edge side, you have your enterprise-grade network where you can run your databases on, you can do your research, your compute, all of the fun stuff. And so at this point, we can have people, and I'm going to toss out some names there, or we can do medical, we can do finance. So I can literally walk up to an insurance company and say, hey, do you want to use the network? They can. So if you're on Amazon right now and you're paying $6.50 for an H100, well, there's a network out there that can help you out and makes it at least half the cost of that. So that's what we do. And it's an easy story to tell at this point, especially the medical one that I was in till Saturday, actually now, a few days ago in Washington. There's a lot of folks out there that do research and they're struggling because of the high cost of an Amazon or a Google or an Azure. So they are looking for this type of stuff. So we're talking with large companies, and as much as I would like to give the names, I can't, but it'll surprise people when we announce them. Period.
Yeah. And in terms of market positioning, Davey, do you see yourself, competing or providing an alternative to the likes of Google and Amazon, or are you more competing with the other Web3 providers and startups? Yeah.
No. Competition, yeah. In Web3, we all like to think us versus them. In Web3, I see it as us versus the big ones. And I think decentralization also comes with a decentralized offering where you have multiple Web3 offers out there or folks who do similar things that what we're doing. And I love that. I love that there's variety, that there's choice. Living in Canada, one of the biggest pet peeves of mine is, for instance, not having the choice or have much choice where I get my phones or my cell phone reception with, or where I go watch my TV with. It's all very centralized these days. It's all big players. And what happens when you have that type of situation is you get a monopoly and the price goes up. And you see that right now with the big boys out there. What Flux is doing, again, hey, we like to take a step back. That sounds weird, but it's actually a really good thing to do. We took a step back and we looked at what can we do with our cloud solution and with our edge solution. How can we actually put our foot next to an Amazon or a Google? That sounds ludicrous, but we're to that point where we can actually start doing this stuff. We can literally take business away from these guys. Is that my end goal? No. What? No, it's not. I just want to give people a choice. And ultimately what we're going to have happen is with that choice will come lower costs, lower pricing, and then ultimately that'll basically help everybody out there. And so there's also the ecological piece, like the footprint that these large data centers cause. Just ask Microsoft in, I think it's in the UK, where they underestimated the power usage with their and what that did for their water cooling there. They were using 4 times the water cooling that they didn't expect it. These are all things that people don't think about when they sign up and host something with them. These are things that I think of when I'm building out our network and our partners. So we're literally building out an entire network also of data centers, and all of those together will become a full decentralized enterprise network that can be utilized by regular businesses. And that in my book is the next step for Web3 is that, okay, we can do everything ourselves, each individual, but that doesn't mean we can't do that on a larger scale with businesses as well, where smaller businesses together also become a thing. And that's what we're doing.
Yep. Look, David, I'd love to get your thoughts on just, Web3 in general and how you see it progressing. So certainly, feel free to obviously include your thoughts on, why people should look to utilize services such as yours, but also just in terms of the wider rollout, if you like, or adoption. I know you use that term yourself, and I agree with you. We aren't there yet, but love to get your sense in terms of where we are on that journey. And I suppose what are the conversations that you have with different people at different companies and in different positions, and what are their worries or their hopes, or what do they understand in terms of what is happening?
So I'm that odd duck who floats in the two spaces, right? So one week I'm in a blockchain conference, and the next week I'm in a very serious cloud solution space. So I float between the two worlds, and we typical crypto people minded thinking is that we like to put ourselves us versus them, and we went. Even Flux did that. At one point, Flux was doing the same thing. We were like, hey, we're better than these guys. I remember the days we were like, hey, we're better than Akash. And Akash was, no, we're better than Flux. And then ultimately, I compared the two, and I was like, so we're comparing apples to pears here. They do this good, and we do this good. And yeah, we do something similar in that space, but they do that completely different. So we can't really compare it to each other. So what needs to happen is this, and that's been my goal, is that we build the bridges. So we've been building bridges. I've been building bridges, and it's catching on with other projects too. And folks like Storj, Streamer. I even saw, I was on a podcast the other day with some folks who are doing the decentralized version of Uber and Drive. Quite easy to remember. I love that. The fact that you can bring things back to the people that's then run by you and I. It is the future. But we also have to understand that there's a role to play for the Web2 providers as well. But I see them, and you can start seeing that already, where they're gonna start disguising themselves as Web3. And you see Google do that all the time. Hey, deploy on a Web3 cloud. Like, what's different than your regular cloud? Nothing. So you're gonna have to be careful. But you start seeing a slight move, slowly but surely, and it's gonna be people like us, like Akash, like Streamer, like Storj, that took a step back and said, hey, let's make sure we can actually accommodate the regular Web2 space. And as soon as people see that, and they see the cost of these things, how much it's actually a lot more affordable and yet stable and secure and all these things, that people are going to see, maybe there's an opportunity there. And then they start building businesses on top. And Web3 is basically just going to evolve into a Web2 world, but run by folks like you and I, not just the big ones.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I like it. Very well articulated, Davy. Thank you for that. Look, as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, Davy, just please, anything else that we've missed on Flux that people need to know, please do bring those points up now, and especially for anyone listening who either wants to become perhaps a node operator or they want to look into the products and services, the decentralized cloud offering that Flux has. Just, where should people go? What should they do to begin to learn more?
Well, to start your journey with Flux, it's one website. You go to runonflux.io. So runonflux.io. From there, you'll be able to go to the cloud solution. You'll be able to go to the marketplaces. You'll find instructions on even how to mine Flux, where you can procure Flux, access to the Discord, the Telegrams, all of those fun things. But I would encourage everybody to start looking at the marketplace. You want to run a game server. What was one of those games the other day that was very popular? Palworld, the not Pokemon game. We were able to run that within hours of release. We were running that already on the network, and we have that on the marketplace. You can just rent it right there, right then, and feel the ease of use of it. That's been my push to the team, was ease of use and easy payment. So those two terms were very, very, very much in the front of the development in the last year. That's all come to play now. So it's all live now. So you can, like I said, within minutes, you'll have a WordPress website running, you'll have your own website running. And if you do run into issues, we actually have, as one of the few projects out there, we actually have a staffed support desk. So you can come to us. You can ask me questions in the Discord. I don't know how many companies out there where you can talk with the C-suite right there, right then. But I'm on Discord. You can reach out to me. I can answer your questions. But that's what we're doing. And yeah, this year is for Flux is going to be a big year. We're starting our marketing campaigns everywhere. We just did the UFL in the States. I'll be traveling still, so wherever I am. And that's being announced all the time. So if you have a chance and want to ask me questions right there, right then, feel free to hit me up and we'll have a beer. Because that's also Web3. Web3 is take a step down as well from that hierarchy. Mingle with the people, be one of the people, be part of the community. And that's what we do with Flux as well. We're all part of that Discord, we're all part of that community. Just escalate.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, that link again, folks, of course, runonflux.io, but the link is in the show notes. Davey, it's time to finish off the podcast, and we do that by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Are you?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Davey. I'm just going to run some questions at you. I just want you to give me your kind of honest hot take style answers if you like. Question one for you, Davey. Let's see what you have to say. It is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Ooh. I'm smack in the middle. I am smack in the middle. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I love what Bitcoin does for the crypto community, but I do feel that there's an option for other people to create their own coin. That's why we fork things. Flux is a perfect example of it. You can build your own technology over it. It doesn't have to be on Bitcoin. I don't go all the way to the other side of things, where I go full Ethereum and all the derivatives of that, Solana and others. I do feel proof of work is a piece that needs to stick around. Proof of stake, the Ethereum route. If you would have asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said Ethereum, because I feel that the proof of work piece that they actually had the next level. But yeah, that's all right. I'm in the middle. As long as you're proof of work, you're good in my book.
Awesome. All right. Well, what would you say then, Davey, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
And start off with a fair mind. We are the odd duck in a lot of conferences where we say, yeah, we're not VC backed or VC funded. We did all of this from the ground up, and that's where I will die on. I will die on that hill. That's how you properly do it. Don't get me wrong. If you do get VC funding, that's great. But if it's done correctly, I have no issue with it. If it's purely a coin fund, that's tricky. Then it becomes a dangerous path to walk.
Yep, very well said. All right, well, look, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So with that in mind, Davey, 10 years is a very long time, but anything you like here, decentralized cloud computing, Flux, Web3, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
That's a really good question. 10 years from now, if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, where would I have been? I would have never said what I would be doing right now. I would love to see a ethical implementation of AI that will be beneficial to all of us. I do see the right movements at this point, and I think together with blockchain, AI, and play, 10 years worth of technology, it's going to be one hell of an interesting path to go through. I'm looking forward to that. I know there's a lot of struggle in the world at the moment, but I do think we can all benefit from the progress we're making technology-wise. I think the future is still bright in my book.
Yes, very much agree. All right, well, another way of thinking about this is a great quote from sci-fi author William Gibson, who said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Davey, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
AI. Yeah, AI is a perfect example. AI was there 10 years ago already. You just didn't realize it. You didn't have it as easy to at your fingertips that you realize it. We get a better sense of it now with ChatGPT, and I see a lot of implementations and a lot of software is being developed with ChatGPT as with their APIs. My concern with that is that technology for everybody is that's kind of, you can see. And you see that with mining pools and mining, that they're the big ones, so everybody gravitates to them. But I do see a lot of alternatives being built out as well, and that will make it for everybody. And that's still the key, is as long as we keep it so that everybody benefits from it and everybody can contribute to it and feel part of the thing, that's where we really make a difference. And I think that AI is going to be a perfect example. Literally, my machine right here can do AI. The machine we're doing this recording on can do AI. We just never really knew that it could do it. And we're helping with that software creation, we're helping with that development and that rollout of it.
Very nice. Brings us nicely, actually, to the final question, Davey, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Oh, I have two, actually. Back to the Future is one. I'm an 80s kid, so I grew up with Back to the Future, and of course, my son won't like it, or both of them, or three of them, but Star Trek. It's funny to me how a lot of technology that we see. It's not because of I'm a Trekkie or anything like that, but I love watching Star Trek, and I'm like, go back and watch some of the things, and you go, that's funny, that little machine they're holding. Okay, that's my phone. I have that now on my phone. Literally, you can they go and scan people like, hey, you can now have an Apple Watch, and it's like, yeah, your blood pressure is high. I want to relax a bit. Like, we're in that phase now where we can see these things. Or and I'll end with a quote. And it's a bit dark, sorry guys, but it was 1984 when this lady said that the Terminator would come back in 2024, 40 years from now. We're in 2024, folks, so no, I don't want to scare anybody, but we did release a big cluster, a big network called Flux Edge. We didn't call it Skynet, but it does similar things, just FYI. Science fiction is fun. It's fun, especially when it becomes true.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, it's just such an interesting time to be alive, isn't it, Davey? I was listening to a podcast yesterday This guy, Nick Bostrom, was the guest, who's one of the kind of early AI authors and philosophers, and he's written a lot about the simulation as well. And he was just kind of talking about how it's just almost too much of a coincidence that you, me, and whoever else is around and on the planet or in this consciousness or in part of the simulation or whatever's going on at this kind of weird transition point where either time travelers are coming back from the future to warn us about Skynet, or we are bringing the God out of the machine ourselves through AI. It's just a strange time to be alive, and almost too much of a coincidence that we're here to see this transition. So it's just another way of saying that science fiction is fun.
It is, and time travelers and all that. Just watch The Simpsons at this point. You just have to watch The Simpsons. Anything that happens that's crazy, it seems to happen at one point. So I don't know what they did, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But the future is what we make of it, and simulation and all. And I know even deGrasse brought it forward the other day on a podcast as well. And Neil deGrasse, famous for the science guy, even he brought it forward that the chance of us being in a simulation, is definitely there. He's like he didn't even try and defend it that it wasn't possible, but there would be a simulation of a simulation of a simulation. Like if you start thinking of that, you're busy for a long, deep rabbit hole to go into. So the future is what you make of it. And the future is what you make of it yourself. That's the big piece.
Yep, and that is a great way to end it. Thank you so much, Davy. Just by let's end the show just by please share any of your social profiles, whether you're on X or LinkedIn or wherever else you like to hang out online. And again, just for people that want to delve into the wonderful world of Flux, one more time, where should they go?
Yeah, you go to runonflux.io, the website itself, right there. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, it's at Jeffke, that's JEFKE _ST. You can find me there. I'm on Discord as well as Jeffke. And if you want to just follow me on LinkedIn, it's Davy Wittock. There will be two. One of them is not me. I don't know, get the picture and everything. But it's the one that has Chief Business Officer on it. That's the one you want to click on, and I'll gladly accept the connection. It's all about connections.
All about connections. Thank you so much, Davy. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Bye.
All right. How good was that? That was, Davy from Flux. That was cool. That was fun. Speaking of AI, I guess I'm really waiting for the long-awaited ChatGPT 4.0 voice feature that they demoed. So you can really just start talking to the AI back and forward. But OpenAI have said that will come in the fall now, so that's like later in the year. Definitely looking forward to that though. Anyway, that is the end of the show. Thank you to Davy and his team at Flux. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This was a crypto conversation for Brave New Coin. Bye for now.